evolution of the forward-facing sonar, it's really changed the way we fish in general. Having something as real as possible is really the key to getting you some more bites.
I have the opportunity to make the stuff we as anglers wish existed. I will lose sleep over fishing. It's what I do. We knew forward-facing sonar was here to stay. We just thought that there has to be something better we can do in order to really optimize a lure presentation to work well with forward-facing sonar.
Jig head and a minnow, right? That's been around for I don't know how many years. We realized there's better things coming and there's better things out there. There's better ways to do this. With forward-facing sonar, we can see what these fish are doing so well and how they're reacting to baits. And you're coming to realize that this is a style of bait and a technique that outperforms swim baits and a lot of other stuff when these fish are feeding on bait fish, and a lot of times they'll be in situations where they're not very active and you can get them to bite this still. Jeez! It's been a long process and really wanted to get it right. You know, we knew there was a better mousetrap out there. You know, the two biggest things were that we wanted it to fall fast on a slack line, so fall very vertical and get down to those fish quick, but we wanted when you picked up tension on it that it would hover really well. It's been a pleasure to work with Jose. We went through a lot of ideas, 2 years, I don't know how many hours on the water, and he's the best lure design guy I've actually dealt with.
It was really great working with Luke on this project. He has a ton of experience on the water. He's been doing this for a long time. We kind of share that mission of let's make the stuff we wish existed. Instead of adapting the current tackle to be good at forward-facing sonar, we said, why don't we start from scratch? Traditionally, a lot of forward-facing sonar jig heads are round ball jig heads. And so we found that the shape that we have, because it tapers from the nose to the outside, you get a return at various angles. It shows up a little better on forward-facing than a round ball jig head. The way sonars generally work is there's no return on things that are the density of water, so you don't get a return on water, but anything that's less dense or anything that's more dense than water is something you get a return on. We built in an air cavity, air pocket into the lure. We know from experience that these fish are going to get a really good look at this lure. Realism is a really huge advantage.
This bait, it's got a really good profile and a really nice size.
We have an awesome pro staff at Z-Man, and we were able to really lean on our pros all around the country to come up with a variety of weights and sink rates and features that made this product succeed everywhere.
Pretty small mouth on the Graph ShadZ there.
That's one cool thing about the head. It matches up perfectly with the baits. All the heads are actually the same size in volume, but different weights. We got 3/16, quarter, and 3/8, but they all match up perfectly with the bait just based on different metal densities. We're gonna have it available in 10 colors. They're all pretty much bait fish type colors. Really good options for you. You can kind of match up whatever type forage they're fishing on, or if you just got one you personally like better than the other.
A bait like this with a very distinct eye, a realistic profile, and something that comes to the water as cleanly as this does. It's very subtle, very natural. It is very important to these fish that see a lot of baits.
The line through design is really great because it gives you a precise attachment to the lure every time. So there's no adjusting the knot. You know it's perfect. So we want to catch the fish that are difficult to catch, the pressured fish, and light line is a necessity for this. Because we have a line through jig head, we had to protect the line somehow. We came up with this plastic coated tubing that is inserted into the line through channel, and it protects your line. It keeps it from having any sort of abrasion on the jig head.
There's one right there.
You know, we've had days with 30, 40 fish and no issues whatsoever on the lightest lines.
This bait's gonna be equally effective for the walleye guys, Great Lakes, anywhere in the country. Those walleye are feeding on bait fish. It'll be just as good for them as it is for bass. Big.
Yeah, nice one. Big fat pre-spun bucket head. They hook them good. The coolest thing about this bait is well, it comes with the pre-rigged head, but it's set up, it already has a chamber in it for hooking, so it makes perfectly straight rigging super easy. It has another hollow hole right at the top that you can actually put a rattle in. So if you want a little bit more noise, if you're fishing in dirty water, you can slide a small glass rattle in that top. Real low profile hook. Then the jig head's got a lead keeper with a little wire keeper off of that. Holds your bait in super secure. Then there's also a little notch in the bottom of the head that lines up with the ring that you tie your line to. So it gets it on there perfectly straight every time, super quick. And this bait's gonna be sold with one jig head, a pre-rigged plastic, and then a second plastic with it, which doesn't sound like much. With the durability of the Elastec and that locking in there, I mean, you could literally catch a couple hundred fish on those two baits. So you're getting a lot of value out of the product there.
It's just a really natural style of fishing with a minnow and a jig head. I mean, you can see that little tail and the little bulbous end to it. It actually is sitting there moving, just reeling through the water, very subtly moving side to side. Really natural look to it, but also you can sit there and shake it and move it a lot more and get a lot more flow to that body of that bait. It's not as much as, say, a swim bait, but it's something those fish are pretty naive to. It's so natural coming through the water.
So whenever a really pressured fish or a large fish sees this product, there's these little elements that they see in other lures when they're being fished that aren't present in ours. And so we think they're gonna have their guard down a little more. Whether you're a pro fishing at the highest level, or whether you're, a weekend guy just going out there and just catching a bunch of fish and having some fun, these are equally important features of these baits.
These fish have been pretty untapped since the beginning of time, and now we have the technology and the right baits to fish them. There we go. Stuff happens really quick. You get on a school and you fire in there, catch one, get them in the boat. You want to get back there as quick as possible. You're not going to be jacking around with this bait. The quicker you can get your bait down to them, the more success you're going to have, especially when you get around, some fired up fish.
It was a long time coming. It's not something we just threw out there. We really think it's the best bait that we could use for this technique. Pretty fun little bait.
Starting with a concept and taking it all the way to the end on a product that we're all really excited and happy to optimize our ability to catch not even more fish, but really the most difficult fish to catch.
Still going strong. Another beautiful smallmouth, and they are biting right now.